Hello there. Today I wanted to talk about depression and how it manifests itself in dreams. Throughout the years, I have written down hundreds of dreams. I want to share with you today 5 common symbols that I noticed appearing in my dreams during depression and the interpretation of those symbols. Over and over again, a repeating symbol in my depression dreams was the collapsing house. I was always in this building which had a collapsing roof or wooden beams that were broken or charred by fire, water dripping on the walls, a very desolate image. Many times I also dreamed seeing collapsing buildings, abandoned buildings that used to be great, majestic, sumptuous, now were left to decay. There is no surprise that such symbol appears in the dreams. Why? Because, as you know, when a house is left empty, all sorts of stuff starts to happen to the house. Maybe burglars, there is burglary, maybe there is people breaking in, walls collapse, so the house is not taken care of. When there is nobody to take care of the house, the house starts to disintegrate. And what I noticed in people suffering from depression and in myself was that you fall into a pattern of thinking that takes you out of your body. So you lay down for hours thinking about past arguments or betrayals. So you are essentially not there. Just like an owner leaving his house, you are leaving your mind. You go somewhere else. In my mother, for example, I noticed that she was spending most of her time in bed. She was totally not there. She was with her mind in a different era, in a different location. And her body responded accordingly. She started to lose weight and she was disintegrating physically. She was losing her ability to speak. Her cognition was suffering. You will see that in people with depression there is also this neglect of self. You don't bother to take care of your hair, or you don't apply makeup, or you eat mindlessly and you become overweight. The house reeks. Cockroaches start to appear. The dishes pile up in the sink. This is the meaning of the symbol of the abandoned house. As a person suffering from depression, you are abandoning your body and your mind, just like an owner abandons his dwelling. Another frequent theme in my depression dreams was upper body injury. I was dreaming that somehow I was either stabbed in the back, or I was shot in the chest, or I was kicked in the chest. And you may wonder why the chest, why the upper body and not the hands. Sometimes the hands were also involved, but mostly the injuries were directed to the upper body, even head. You see, when you are hurt emotionally, there is this kind of heaviness and sense of suffering lodging itself into your chest. You almost can feel it somewhere at sternum or below the sternum. Curiously, this is where I was experiencing injuries in my dreams. One time I experienced being stabbed in the back, and this dream was in context of a betrayal. I was ruminating over a betrayal in love, and this is how it was manifesting, with stabbings in the back, feeling always betrayed. As I've read, the mental pain shares the same pathways in the brain with the physical pain. So it would not wonder me if the emotional suffering would manifest itself in dreams through the symbols of physical injury. I think an excellent example of this sharing of pain paths would be the broken heart syndrome. So when you experience very intense emotional pain, your heart starts to suffer. You might develop physical symptoms of suffering in the heart. So what started at the level of mind and soul manifests itself in the body. Over and over again, the contrast between light and dark appeared in my dreams. This is why it's important to paint your own dreams. When you take a snapshot of that dream and you paint it, you will observe a pattern occurring across dreams. In my case, there was always a source of light surrounded by darkness. And one can see while looking on all these pictures that the proportion between light and dark was always constant. The light was very tiny, but the darkness surrounding it was immense, was huge. And that reflects exactly what's going on in the mind of a person with depression. Most of the thoughts are negative thoughts. They are darkness, sadness, and positive thoughts occupy just a little tiny nook inside your psyche. I would have dreams when I wander in the forest, clinging of a tiny candle, with cold drafts blowing over it. Everywhere there is darkness. And other times I would dream about a tiny building but highly illuminated, surrounded by dark clouds, wind, darkness again. The message would be, how can I bring more light into my environment? The dreams seem to say there is an imbalance here, there is too much darkness and too less light. In Jungian psychoanalysis, a main consequence of depression is the withdrawal of libido, of desire to live, to create, to do something with your life. In my dreams, this has manifested in the constant presence of coldness, of frost, the symbol of frost, freezing, snow. There was a dream when I remember watching my son sleeping on a bench outside while snow was falling down and covering him. Sometimes I would climb mountains covered in snow and ice. Another dream I remember was me walking in an icy landscape without shoes. And can you imagine the feeling you would have if you would walk with your naked feet on icy ground? You would feel pain. And the emotional pain in the waking life was translated in the dream as walking bare feet. Another dream would be being in an Arctic landscape, in a very extreme cold environment. I think that would be a symbol for the maximum depth of depression, when there is nobody. In Arctic, there are no trees, no bugs, So I found myself sitting on a boulder of ice alone, watching the sky, a dark blue navy sky with icy clouds traveling fast, a cold wind, again coldness. And I cannot help but making an association with the coldness that happens to a body when the life force departs from it. So in a sense, during depression, the life force departs from us. We become as a dying body. Our psyche is like a dying soul, so to say. A lot of times depression happens because of stressful situations that couldn't be escaped. So throughout my childhood, I was in such situation. A home filled with domestic violence, and that happened every day, and I couldn't escape it. I was basically in prison. But you know, there are prisons when they serve you food and you have a place to put your head and read your books, and the only thing that you are missing from your usual life would be your freedom. But in my case, not only the freedom was missing, but also the peace and the quiet each child deserves to experience. It was a constant state of hypervigilance, of staying awake, staying close to the phone in case my father would beat my mother to death. Naturally, as an adult, during my depression, I dreamt a lot about fires, floods, tornadoes, catastrophes, natural catastrophes, because they are unexpected and they are violent. This is what an argument in an alcoholic household is. It's unexpected most of the times. That it always carries the danger to your own being as a child, and a danger to your parents. That's why people who had a traumatic childhood dream about fires, the house consumed by fire, fire crawling in the walls, emergency, perhaps alarm, war alarms, soldiers. So the word would be urgency, that hypervigilance manifests itself in dreams as symbols of natural catastrophes. So this was an overview of 5 main themes appearing in the dreams of people with depression. These are only my empirical observations. If you experience these symbols, please share in the comments and let's talk about it. It was nice to be with you again, and I hope to see you soon. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.